Hey vinyl community, this is Chris. I thought I'd do a video about Beatles albums that mean something to me. I had a few days ago I'd seen a MeanMr Mayo video on this topic, which was a request from one of his viewers. And I saw a James Griffiths video uh, on that same topic, and I may have seen some other one. I forget what it was, but it sounded like something that I could do. I haven't shown any Beatles stuff in any of my videos, I don't think. So this would be an opportunity to, address two different things at one time. So thought I'd give that a try. So first Beatles album that meant something to me was the first Beatles album that I got. Can't remember if I purchased this or if it was a gift, but it was Magical Mystery Tour. This was in the late 60s that I got this, and it spent many an hour on my turntable. This gatefold, it's starting to show its age. The booklet inside, some of the pages have come loose. But, it's served me well over the years. So that was my first introduction to the Beatles, I think. It may have come from a Montgomery Ward store, if anyone is familiar with those things. Don't remember at this point, but then a few years passed, and I finally had a driver's license, so I was able to go out shopping on my own. And there was a store that I was able to get this album, in their $1.99 bin. So VJ introducing the Beatles. Seems to be a lot of question about this album, about there's lots of variations, maybe lots of knockoffs of it. So who knows how legitimate this album is, though it was early 70s album that I bought. So introducing the Beatles. And then a few years later, I'm pretty sure I was in college at this point, and a friend of mine enticed me to go out with him. On weekends, we went to some place called the Agora in while I was in college, or we were both in college, and I think this was album that was fairly new at that point. Band on the Run. I first got this as a 8-track, so I think that got played in the car a lot, and I got a vinyl version of it. This is I'd moved to Miami in mid-70s, and that's when I got this album, this copy of it. So it's been played a lot over the years. Don't have too many McCartney albums, but this one was I was pretty familiar with. While I was living in Miami, my girlfriend got me into road racing. Not that we raced ourselves, but we like to watch it. We went to the 24 hours of Daytona, 12 hours of Sebring, went up to Road Atlanta. George Harrison came out with this album during that time period. He has a song on this album called Faster, which was dedicated or about Niki Lauda, who was a Formula One racer. So this holds some memories of that time period in my life. George Harrison. Then while we were living in Miami, my girlfriend entered a radio station contest in Fort Lauderdale, which was in the next county north of us, and she managed to win, so we ended up getting a large selection of Beatles and John Lennon related stuff, which included this John Lennon Live in New York videotape. It seemed like there were about 10 albums. A lot of them I already had, so I just kind of gave them away, which I think I got in trouble for. I think this was a duplicate copy of this was included sometime in New York City. John and Yoko, Plastic Ono Band, 1972. And like I said, a bunch of other John Lennon, John and Yoko, Yoko Ono albums. You know, gave them away to some friends of mine from work, but that was nice to do. After that, started shopping online for things. Either through catalogs, I don't know about, don't remember, I don't think it was internet shopping at that point, but catalogs and mail order. So there was some place in New Jersey, Central Publishers Bureau, sort of what I remember, but they carried Musical Heritage Society albums, which you know, were a lot of classical stuff, but they also carried some, you know, rock albums. So an order I had for those was this reissue of John and Yoko Two Virgins album. So, you know, it was issued with this plastic bag, outer sleeve, you know, the John and Yoko inner sleeve. That was one of the items. The wedding album. Reissue with some bonus tracks. This is a Ryko disc reissue. And this other one, another reissue, Unfinished Music 2, Life with Lions. So I think that was first time I had first mail order of any Beatles material. So then shortly after that, you know, I think I started going to record shops and thrift stores and things. So I ended up getting some Beatles boots. So here's an early Beatles bootleg that I got, Arrive Without Aging, 1993. another one was 2 weeks in January 1969. You know, a white jacket with that taped on the cover. This was a 2 LP set. White label, side 1 and 2. January 69, it looks like. So, I think the first bootleg vinyl I got for Beatles. And then I was working in Orlando in the 80s and the 90s. And their shop opened up downtown that was selling, I think they only sold CDs. I don't remember any vinyl there, but that's where I first encountered these Beatle anthologies. So, Beatles Anthology 3, Beatles Anthology 2, and Beatles Anthology 1. So I was able to pick those up in their used CD bin. And then this isn't quite all in order, but when I started going to record shops and things, I ran into this Beatles EP, Meet the Beatles, on Capitol. No picture sleeve, but 6-song EP in stereo. And then I had a friend that had moved out of town, and so I ended up with her records. So I got all these Beatle 45s. Here's a swan of She Loves You and I'll Get You. And then a bunch of capitals. Can't Buy Me Love. I Should Have Known Better. Hard Day's Night. She's a Woman. I Feel Fine. I'm Down and Help. All You Need Is Love. Baby, You're a Rich Man. I Want to Hold Your Hand. I Saw Her Standing There. All on Capitol. Please, Mr. Postman. Roll Over Beethoven. If I Fell and I Love Her. P.S. I Love You. Love Me Do. Don't Want to Spoil the Party and 8 Days a Week. We Can Work It Out and Day Tripper. Some of these I may have actually bought on my own, like this one, I think. Plastic Ono Band, Give Peace a Chance, and Remember Love. Nobody's Child and Ain't She Sweet with Tony Sheridan. Something and Come Together on Apple. Eleanor Rigby, Yellow Submarine on Apple. Act Naturally and Yesterday on Capitol. Two Apple Sleeves. Hey Jude and Revolution on Apple. She Loves You, I'll Get You on Swan. Do You Want to Know a Secret and Thank You Girl on VJ. And a variation of the same thing on VJ. Two different labels. So, I had all those memories of Beatles albums over the growing up. So that was my response to the request that MeanMr Mayo had, and James Griffith responded to, and I'm not sure whoever else it was, but thanks for watching.